Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Tonight I'm going to share with you guys all of the stuff that I am planning on reading in December and some of the things that I'm hoping. It's kind of an ambitious list, but what else do we got to do in December, right? So I am back here on my porch. It's actually a pretty warm night. We're supposed to be dropping really low, getting rain. It's supposed to be pretty cold. I'm so thankful that the hot weather is over because I'm over it for sure. It is the last Friday night of November. We had Thanksgiving yesterday and seven of my kids were here. So everybody who lives here, and then my oldest son and his family came over. So I had 7 kids, my daughter-in-law, my 3 grandkids, then my husband and I. And we had a really nice dinner and just hung out for the afternoon. And then when it got dark, we went into Bentonville and went to the square and saw all the beautiful lights and took pictures and just enjoyed. We were there for over 2 hours, I think. Just walking around and looking at stuff and enjoying the evening. We came back and had pie for dinner. So it was great Thanksgiving. And then today we packed up all our fall decorations, got out our winter decorations, but I haven't put them up yet because I got tired, so I took a nap. But I sat down tonight and I figured out what I think that I want to do for the different reading challenges that I'm joining in December. I'm joining quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 I think, plus my own, goals. There's a little bit of overlap, but not much. So let's get into all of these big plans. So the first thing, I'm joining one challenge with a bingo board, and that is Lucy's challenge that Tinsel entails. Lucy and a bunch of co-hosts. This is the bingo board, and you can go over and watch her video. I'll put it here in the description box. Usually the way I like to handle bingo boards, I don't really pick a lot of, specific books for the first couple of weeks anyway. I just kind of see what fits, right, from the things that I've read. And then about the last week, I look at the bingo board and think, I need to fill in this and this and this, and it, helps me finish it off. So that's probably how I'm going to approach this one also because, like I said, I have a lot of other plans and things that I want to do. So this is her bingo board. The only requirement is to read the nativity story from the Bible. Everything else is optional and you can overlap. It's very flexible. So check out her video to get all the details on that if you haven't yet. Okay, and then the next one is Du Maurier December, hosted by Mark at Book Time with Elvis, which I'm super excited about because I totally love Daphne du Maurier. I've read several of hers. She's just one of my favorites. I read a couple of biographies of her quite a while ago as well, and I don't know, she's just one of those people that intrigue me. But in October, I hosted Gothic October, the classics version, and the group read was Rebecca by her, and I made a whole analysis video talking about symbolism, and it's full of spoilers, but if you're interested in that and haven't yet seen that, it got a lot of good feedback. There was quite a few people who were like, oh yeah, didn't think about that or whatever. So you might want to check that out if you are a fan. But Mark is a fan and he is hosting this reading event where really all you do is just read books by Daphne du Maurier, no big deal. So I picked out Rule Britannia. This is her last novel, last one she ever wrote, 1972, I think. And I got this copy at this little bookshop in Fort Smith, Arkansas, I think, last year when Lindsay and I went down there. And I think that this is the first edition, like a book club edition. Yeah, this is like a book club edition from the 70s. And anyway, I bring that up because reading the inside leaf of this, it's published in the US, is very different than reading the blurb on the back of the British version. So we'll read it because it's shorter and less wordy than this vintage copy is. But anyway, the blurb for Rule Britannia on Goodreads says, Emma wakes up one morning to an apocalyptic world. The cozy existence she shares with her grandmother, an eccentric retired actress known to all as Madam, has been shattered. There's no post, no telephone, no radio, and an American warship sits in the harbor. As the two women piece together clues about the friendly, in quotes, military occupation on their doorstep, family, friends, and neighbors gather round to protect their heritage. In this chilling novel of the future, Daphne du Maurier explores the implications of a political, economic, and military alliance between Britain and the United States. It's very interesting, because there have been talks of alliances between Britain and other countries. I will be very interested to read this because it's kind of like a, post-apocalyptic sort of, not what you think of coming from Daphne du Maurier. But the interesting thing about her is she sort of kept up with her time, right? The time that she wrote over a really long span. She wrote over at least 4 decades, and so she really kept up with the changes, and you see that reflected in her novels. Her earlier novels are very different in topic, style, mood, and all those kinds of things from her much later novels. So this will be an interesting book to read. I'm looking forward to it. And I have had this on my bookshelf for well over a year and a half probably, so it will count again for my read your bookshelf challenge. And also I think that's actually one of the prompts on Lucy's bingo board, is to read something that's been on your shelf since last Christmas, so this will work. All right, then next up is a reading event that I participated in last year as well. This is hosted by Vin from Revenant Reads, and that is The Ghost of Christmas Past, Resurrecting a Tradition, I think is what he calls it. And it's basically, he got to thinking about how the Victorians used to read ghost stories at Christmas time. It's totally a thing for them. And he's like, how interesting, let's do that again. And so he started this reading event. There is a group read. It's The Signalman by Charles Dickens. I do plan on reading that. I don't yet have a copy, but it's in the Amazon cart, so in the next couple days I'll put that through. So I'm going to read that with the group, and then you can also read other Victorian ghost stories and then just other ghost stories. I'm not really a big ghost story reader, but I like the ones that I can sort of psychoanalyze. I did a big psychoanalysis on Charles Dickens and The Christmas Carol, and I don't think I've actually posted that. I think I did it last year, but I wrote up several different videos about Charles Dickens, and I think I only posted one of them last year. So I'm gonna make that part of my Bookmas plan for December. But anyway, so I like, if I can sort of psychoanalyze, then, I enjoy. So I will be reading The Signalman. I will take a look at, I don't know if this is a ghost story, but I think it is. I've got this little collection of penguin Christmas stories, like the Penguin book. They're not like about penguins. It's published by Penguin. And I got this last year, like the day before Christmas, so I didn't get it read, but it has a whole bunch of little little Christmas stories from so many different popular authors. But the last one is The Ghost Ships by Angela Carter, and this book she originally, I think, published in a compilation of like American folklore. And so but she's an English writer. She was an English writer as far as I know. So anyway, I'm going to read that one. But I don't think there's any other ghosty stories in here. I'm not sure about that. And then they don't have to be like ghosty Christmas stories. So obviously I'm going to read The Christmas Carol for the 20 billionth time because I read that every year. And then I also went to reread The Winter Ghosts by Kate Moss. I loved this book so much. I loved this book. This was like one of my top 2 or 3 favorite reads last year. It might have even been my favorite read. I loved this book so much last year when I read it. It takes place in 1928. There's a guy who has just sort of come back from the war, and he's in France, and he stumbles on a tiny village, and it is not what it appears to be. And it is just such a fantastic story. It has a historical element as far as this guy and some other people in the village discovering an old mystery from history that is actually from like legit real-time history. So anyway, those are my plans for Ghost of Christmas Past, Resurrecting a Tradition. I might also read The Canterville Ghost by Oscar Wilde again. That's just a really funny, if you're looking like for a funny ghost story to participate in this, that one is just super funny, and you can find it, you know, online or whatever. Canterville Ghost by Oscar Wilde. So that's my list for that one. Then I came across this one, which apparently this is not the first year, but I have not seen this one before. This is called Christie's Missing Readathon. And this one is hosted by Berna at Berna's Bookish Adventures, and then Naomi from Naomi's Bookshelf. And so this one takes place from December 3rd through the 14th, because those are the days in which Agatha Christie went missing, which I think was just super genius. And if you have not read, I think it's called The Mystery of Mrs. Christie, something like that, by Marie Benedict. Read that. That was such a good book. That's going to be on my top 5 this year, I am so sure. But it's a fictional look at possibly one reason or outcome or whatever for the mystery of why Agatha disappeared. And I just thought it was so great. But for this one, there are 3 prompts and a bonus. Read a book by Agatha Christie, read a book about or featuring Agatha Christie, read a book inspired by Agatha Christie, and then the bonus is read a book and watch its adaptation. So I have books for each of those. I don't know how, like, I love Agatha Christie, everything about her stories, I just adore her. But I can only take so much. Then I gotta have a break. My husband and I have just finished watching all of the Poirot episodes, and then now we are just about done watching all of the Miss Marple episodes with Joan Hickson, which is the only ones that I will watch because they're fantastic. And so watching one of her adaptations, like, unless we're going to watch a full-length movie, kind of already done that, but I'll get into that in a minute actually, because I'm going out of order. So read a book by Agatha Christie. I'm going to reread this collection of her Christmas stories, Star Over Bethlehem, and other stories by Agatha Christie Mallowan. So her, you know, married name, second time, was Mallowan. And I read this last Christmas and loved it. It's just a short little book of Christmas stories. So my husband actually bought me this right before Christmas, and so I read through it, and oh, I just loved it. I think, let's see, when was it published? It's a first edition, published in 1965 in the UK, and it was just a really special gift. So I'm going to reread that. So that will be my book by Agatha Christie. And then the second one about or featuring her, that one is going to be this one, which is just her autobiography, right? It's about her, and she actually wrote it, so I guess it's by her too. So this one will fit number 1 and number 2, but I don't think I've read this, and if I have, it was a really long time ago that I've read her autobiography. So I've really been wanting to read that. It's like over 500 pages, so I may read parts of it, because here in a minute you'll see I just have so many. Okay, I just have so many for this month, but anyway. So there's that. And then the third one, read a book inspired by her. Now I've started this, Queens of Crime by Marie Benedict, and this is a story that talks about several crime writers during Agatha Christie's time. She is a character in this story, and so is Dorothy L. Sayers and Niall Marsh and Baroness Orczy and somebody else. I always forget the last one because, Marjorie Allingham. So I've never read anything by her. So I'm like, I don't know who that is. But I started it and I just wasn't in the mood. And so I cut my bookmark in there. And to help me remember, I just wrote, DNF'd. Just wasn't in the mood. Read back of book to catch up. So it wasn't any further than the back had already made clear. So I'm gonna try and finish that one up. And then the fourth, the bonus, is to read a book and watch this adaptation. So I'm going to read Curtain. This is Poirot's Last Mystery. I have already watched the adaptation, as I said. But the adaptation, oh my goodness. My husband and I were shocked the last Poirot episode. It was totally a shock. And so I want to read this to see if this is actually what Agatha Christie wrote, or if the TV people just wanted some massive shock value by it was crazy. So please don't tell me in the comments if you know, just leave it alone and you can tell me later after I've read it. I really don't want it spoiled because, like, I don't know, for some reason I have a feeling that this book isn't the same as that TV show, and I don't know why. But anyway, if it is, that's just gonna be fantastic. And if it's not, it'll probably be fantastic too. So that's what I'm doing for that one, maybe. All right, then we have the Dickens at Christmas Readathon, which is hosted by Alan Reeds and Julie from Bookish Travels. And so obviously the ones I've already talked about, like Christmas Carol, the Signalman, those are gonna count for that. But the group read for that is the Pickwick Papers. Now, the Pickwick Papers in my 2-volume collection is over 800 pages. So, but it is on my 50 by 50 list. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start them, like, probably tonight or tomorrow, because it's episodic. There's all kinds of different chapters, and they're, you know, all the chapters are kind of like different stories, sort of, from what I understand. Like, it doesn't necessarily, like, if I stopped, I probably, and waited a while, you know, to finish, I probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. So, I'm gonna start them, and if I'm into it or whatever, then I'm gonna join the group read. So the group read goes from the 1st of December through January 6th, which is 12th night. And so he has kind of like a proposed reading schedule here. The first week we're doing 7 chapters, which in these volumes is like 103 pages, which is not that big of a deal, but I really got to stay on it. So if I don't get stuck scrolling sometime, I should be able to read these. But I've got these neat editions, part 1 and 2. They're kind of old and, you know, falling apart, which will probably be wonderful, except they won't make a good bedtime reading, right? Because I read like this and it falls in my face. And they're pretty heavy. But I'm going to give it a try. Like, I will read those, obviously. They're on my 50 by 50, but I don't know if I want to read them in December or not. It just depends on how fast I get into them, right? Okay, so that is everything for the reading challenges. And then I got this stack of other books that I just have been saving on my winter bookshelf for December, to start anyway in December. And so these, I've got 2 stacks. One is like what I really want to get to, and then the other stack is like if I have time or need more moody, sort of festive themed reads. But a lot of these I think I can fill in Lucy's bingo board with. So the first one is this little book, Christmas Stories by Louisa May Alcott, and they are different from this little book of Christmas Stories by Louisa May Alcott that my mom sent me. So this one has 3 stories in it: The Quiet Little Woman, Tilly's Christmas, and Rosa's Tale. So that's the one my mom sent me. And then this one I found at Barnes & Noble, and it has 2 stories: A Christmas Dream and How It Came to Be True, and then How It All Happened. So 5 Louisa May Alcott stories. Then I have O. Henry's little book, The Gift of the Magi, which is a story that I read all the time. Like, I think I read it to my family most years. And it actually has a bunch of little stories in it. One of them is a story about Thanksgiving, which I'm going to actually set aside and read that tonight, because I didn't realize that was in there. Then I have this little book called Christmas with L.M. Montgomery. I don't know if these feature like characters from other stories of hers or anything, but they're called A Christmas Inspiration, A Christmas Mistake, and Christmas at Red Butte. Then I have this, which I read last year, The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clark. I got this and read it towards the end of December. It cost me like $25, and I don't think it was worth it, but I have it, so I'm gonna read it. And it takes like minutes. It's mostly a picture book. Like, a lot of the pages are like this. So it's just one of those really like artistically inspiring books, right? And the story, I don't know. I told myself last year that this year, if I read it again, I was gonna kind of look into the like the inspiration for the story, because I didn't really get it. So we will read that again. Maybe we'll do some psychoanalysis. I have this book, which I bought for a pretty penny at a thrift shop. It was in like their vintage antique books section. And then I got online, I realized that there's a few people selling it for a pretty penny. But it's J.R.R. Tolkien, The Father Christmas Letters. From what I understand, he wrote letters to his children from Father Christmas. And so this is just them compiled. And there's illustrations, and it looks just super neat. And so I'm really actually looking forward to going through this. The illustrations in this are crazy. Like, his imagination is really just over the top. So I don't want to flip in through this anymore because I really want to enjoy it. But this is just a nice little book for my collection, and I might someday pass it down to one of my Tolkien loving girls, but I might not. And then finally, for the pile that's like the definite things I want to read, there's this book called Stories Behind the Best Love Songs of Christmas. I read this probably 6 or 7 years ago, and then I gave it away as a gift to someone who I later found out wasn't a reader, but that's okay. It tells the stories of different Christmas songs, just like it says. And so I want to read through some of these and then talk about them on 1 or 2 of my Bookmas videos in December. So that's something I'll just kind of dip in and out of throughout the month. All right, and then finally, I've got this little pile of maybes. I don't really know if I will get to these, but I even kind of got them in order of like, I don't know, of what I think I will enjoy. So I've got this book called Charles Dickens' A Round of Stories by the Christmas Fire. So these are stories, I think that he published these all together in something or just in his own, you know, like weekly publication, his serial thing, right? Household Words. Yeah, it is. It says, published in its entirety for the first time since 1852, this Christmas number of Dickens' periodical Household Words is a shining example of the varied thematic and narrative styles of Victorian writing, blah, blah. So it's a book of Christmas stories written by all kinds of Victorian authors. Dickens, of course, William Moy Thomas, Elizabeth Gaskell, Edmund Ollier, Reverend James White, Edmund Saul Dixon, Harriet Martineau, Samuel Sidney, and Eliza Griffiths. So people that wrote for his, you know, Household Words publication. This is their Christmas compilation. I've also got this book by Karen Powell called 15 Wild Decembers. If I don't read this in December, I will read it in January. It's not about Christmas at all. It's a fictional tale about Emily Bronte, who I, you know, of course, love to read anything I can find on Emily Bronte. I'm just gonna kind of play it by ear because I don't think it's gonna be super happy. So I don't know if I want to read it in December. I might want to save it for January when I'm a little more moody. I've got a couple of these books by Melody Carlson. These were really not my type of stories, but this one takes place in Oregon. It says, "Welcome to Christmas Valley, Christmas capital of the Pacific Northwest." And it's a short story called The Christmas Bus by Melody Carlson. And then it looks like it's a hippie bus, actually, so that's fitting for Oregon. And then we have Christmas by the Sea. This one's in Maine, which is funny because that's like my family heritage, right? I've got my dad's side in Maine and my mom's side in Oregon. That's very interesting. And opposite sides of the nation, but they're both just short, you know, little Christmas tales, which I don't know, now that I'm looking at them, maybe I do want to read those. Maybe I do want to add them to the must reads. I'm doing nothing in December except for reading and making Bookmas videos. That's it. And then I have 3 more here. This one is called A Tale of Two Hearts by Michelle Greep. I picked that up because I like Michelle Greep. I've read only 2 of hers. It was her story that's based on Frankenstein and her story that's based on Dracula. And I liked both of those. And so this one looks like Victorian London. Then I have this compilation of Christmas stories called Home for Christmas, Stories for Young and Old. And there are authors here such as Pearl Buck, Elizabeth Gooch, Rebecca Cottle, Henry Van Dyke, and they're just other Christmas short stories. Some of them I've read before. I've read The Other Wise Man. Well, maybe that's the only one I've read, but I might read through those. And then finally, I read this a really long time ago, Shepherds Abiding by Jan Karon. I've never read her series, the Mitford, series. I've never read that, but I did like the Christmas story. And I've kind of been thinking about maybe reading that series. I'm not really a series reader, so I've been looking for series to read. And that one seems kind of like cozy and positive. So I'm thinking about reading this Christmas one and seeing if I want to pick up just the regular ones, right? So that's a lot. I don't by any stretch of the imagination imagine that I will get to all of them, but a lot of these are really short and it's like a whole book of stories where I just want to read, one or two. So I could probably get to quite a bit of them. So that's my December plans. I'm super excited. If you know of any other events going on that I might want to join, don't tell me about them. Anyway, hope you guys are having a great day. I'll see you soon.